Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you a few tips I've picked up along the way on how to use small pockets of time to get things done. Let's talk about it. I actually learned a lot of these tips during Ramadan. Well, many Ramadans over the years. Ramadan is the time of year where we want to maximize our time as much as possible because we know we only have 30 days and there's only so much that you can achieve in a day. And we set these really big goals and then we realize that we just don't have the time to do it. So I started to understand how I could maximize little pockets of time and use it to my benefit. And the first thing that I learned is to basically multitask. Now, I've never really liked the term multitasking because to me, multitasking means doing two tasks poorly rather than doing one task well. But there are certain things or certain areas of life where you can actually multitask. For example, if you're folding the laundry, you don't need to really use your full brain power to do that. You have the capacity to fold your laundry and do something at that same time. So for example, you can be folding your laundry and listening to a podcast in the background. You can be washing the dishes, listening to a podcast, or you can be cooking and listening to the Quran. If you are having a conversation with somebody on the phone, you don't necessarily have to be holding the phone. You can still listen to them and converse with them whilst performing another task. There's all these little tasks that don't actually require your full 100% attention. For those kind of tasks, those are the times where I like to use that time to multitask, to do two things at once. In Ramadan, this is really, really useful, especially if you are a mother who is trying to feed your family and you feel like you just don't have time between taking care of the kids and doing everything that you have to do. This is a good way to utilize that time in between everything else. Maybe you're making lunch and then while you're making lunch, you can be listening to the Quran or listening to a lecture or something that's going to make you feel connected to God. You know, you can use these little moments of time while you're doing a mundane task to actually do something that is more productive. Another great tip is to actually use waiting time. Now, maybe you're standing in a line waiting for something, maybe you're on hold on the phone, waiting to talk to somebody on the phone, or maybe you're waiting for your bus to arrive. Whatever it is that you're waiting for, that moment of time is basically time that could be wasted. So instead of wasting it, you have the opportunity to use that time to do something. This is the one that I benefit a lot from. Whenever I'm waiting for something to happen, I immediately think, okay, I'm going to be waiting here for however many minutes or hours. What can I do in this time? And usually for me, it's some sort of planning, it's some sort of digital work because I have my phone with me right there. But if I have pre-planned and I knew that I was going to be at this place and I was going to have time where I'm going to wait, I'll probably have something with me. Like I might bring whatever project I'm working on. I like to do embroidery. So I might have some embroidery that I want to do, or even things just like getting your phone out, reading some Quran. Instead of just sitting there and waiting and wasting time, I can turn that time into something productive. Even if it is just 5 minutes, even if it is just 10 minutes, those few 10 minutes here and there and everywhere eventually adds up. There are so many people who use this time to like do their hobbies. So for example, if you're somebody who likes to knit or crochet and you're constantly doing it at every 5-minute wait time that you have, eventually that's going to add up. And by the end of it, you're going to have a beanie or whatever it is that you were trying to knit. It's the same concept. Like try and use these little moments of time where you're waiting, where you have your downtime to actually achieve something. And in a way, it's actually easier on your mind because you know you're only going to have a limited amount of time. So you know you're not going to actually finish that task. The goal is not to finish the task. The goal is just to get however much done you can in that small amount of time. And that brings me on to my third point, which is actually the setting a timer. Sometimes we have tasks that we want to do that we just keep putting off. We keep putting it off and we just think, oh, it's going to take so long to do. I just don't have the energy to do that right now, or I just don't have that amount of time to finish that task. A tip that I learned from another YouTuber, Michelle B, she sets a timer for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I think 20 minutes is a good amount of time. She sets a timer for 20 minutes and then just does as much as she can of that task in the 20 minutes. I've started doing this, especially for things that have been on my list that I've been putting off for so long that I just do not want to do. I will just set a timer, and however much I get done in that 20 minutes, that's however much I get done. The funny thing is, when you're putting something off, when you're procrastinating about doing something, you really just need that spark, that momentum to get started. Because once you get started, you will realize that you want to finish it. So even there'll be times where the 20 minutes are up, but I haven't finished the task, but I was like, okay, you know what? I can actually, if I give like 10 more minutes, I can actually finish this. I can get this done. So I'll just go another 10 minutes. So you realize that this entire time that you've been procrastinating, you're really just seeking the motivation to start rather than to finish, if that makes sense. That tip has been really helpful for me. Because there's a lot of stuff on my task list that some days I just feel like I just don't have the energy. I just don't want to do this. I'm like, okay, I will give 10 minutes of my time to do however much I want to do. And 9 times out of 10, I just end up finishing the task anyway. So in a way, it's a good way to trick your brain into getting things done. Time management is a skill that I've been working on for a long, long time. Like a really long time. And I feel like I have improved in this area. I was never able to actually get things done because I was a big procrastinator. I would get lost in my thoughts, and also because I'm a perfectionist, I will put things off because I know I won't be able to do that task perfectly, so I won't even try to do it. There's so much of that actually stops me from doing things that are really just so simple, but I've just in my mind put that off. I've just convinced myself that I'm not going to be able to do that, and that in itself is the trap. The truth is that if you really want to do something, you can do it. And hopefully some of these tips have helped you to do that. But like I always say, it's all about mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, then you're not going to be able to achieve whatever it is that you are trying to achieve. Mindset is everything. And that brings me to the point of why do we even need to maximize our time? Why can't we just do whatever we want whenever we want? Well, the thing is that we have a limited amount of time here on earth. We don't know how much that time is. Even if you're not somebody who has big goals in life, think about what it is that you're actually spending your time on. If you knew that you were going to die tomorrow and you reviewed your life up until now, what have you spent most of your time doing? Are you happy with the fact that you spent most of your time sitting on the couch watching TV? Or are you happy with the fact that you spent most of your time putting things off and never actually trying? Are you okay with the fact that you spent most of your time away from your home, away from your family? Are you okay with that fact? And this is not a judgment. This is a question that I want you to ask yourselves. Because ultimately, that's all that it's about. How you've spent your time during your life. And the fact that we have a limited amount of time here already makes your time important. And of course, as Muslims, we know that yes, our time is limited, but also we've been put here for a reason. We're not just here to binge watch Netflix. We actually have, our life has a purpose. We have a purpose. And when we're thinking about what we're doing with our time every day, how much of that time are we actually dedicating to our purpose, and our purpose being worshiping God? How much of our time is actually dedicated to doing that? Yes, we pray 5 times a day. If that's going to take 5 minutes for each of the 5, that's like 25 minutes out of your day. That's a small investment, really. Out of 24 hours, you're only giving 25 minutes to God. And I know a lot of us struggle with that, just to get in those 25 minutes a day. And if that is something that you're struggling with, then perhaps now is the time to start building on that. Start, solidifying your 25 minutes and start adding on to that. Because, like I said, if you knew you were going to die tomorrow, would you be okay with the fact that out of all the time that you've spent throughout your life or throughout your day, you only gave like a 2% portion of it to God? Are you going to be okay with that fact? I know I wouldn't. And I'm speaking to myself first, because I know that I've been a big time waster for most of my life. Like I said, always procrastinating, always thinking about doing things and never actually doing it. And in the last few years, probably like 3 or 4 years, I've really tried to focus on changing that into being somebody who does things rather than thinks about doing things. And these 3 tips that I've shared with you today are the 3 things that actually changed it for me, that helped me to get from somebody who is always thinking about doing things to actually doing things. So it was a short one today because I know you don't have a lot of time. I hope these 3 tips have helped you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.